Welcome back to another issue or edition or episode. If it's an edition, an episode, or an issue, I don't care what it is. Program of Student of the Gun Radio. Yes, indeed. Welcome to a brand new week. We're just about to squeak out the end of June 2020. That means in, 3-4 days, this year will be half over. And it's gone so fast. It's gone so quickly. I want more of 2020 back. I want 2020 back again. You know what I saw, Jared? I saw a thing on this internet that said, I believe that 2020 proves that time travel is real and that someone keeps going back in time trying to fix it. And every time they make a change, they screw it up. That would explain how the murder hornets disappeared.
That's pretty funny.
Remember the movie The Time Machine when he keeps going back and he keeps trying to do stuff different and it keeps screwing up.
It keeps screwing up the future.
He's like, all right, it's just I'm not going to be able to fix it. Right, so.
Time travel rule number one: never kill Hitler. Time travel rule number one: never kill Hitler.
Yeah, that's right. Never kill Hitler. Time travel number one. So, all right, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Legion of Michael stuff. We got a Warrior of the Week question. We're going to talk about American Liberty and all that right after Zach plays the funky music.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Yes, indeed. Oh, what are we going to talk about? Well, we got some really cool news, and I'm excited about it, and I'm holding up the proof copy. They started doing this weirdness this last year. It used to be when you got your physical proof copy from the printer that you would just open up the first page and it would say proof in great big black letters or whatever. But now, apparently, they're so afraid that you're going to resell the book. They put, no, not for resale. I mean,
you know what it probably was? People were probably just cutting out that page.
Well, Zach, it's not exactly a winning proposition.
I know.
Because, A, the author has to pay the same amount for proof copies that they would for author copies. So they're not saving any money. And number two, when you're only allowed to order 5 proof copies total.
I did not know that they were the same price. I thought proofs were cheaper.
No, they're the exact same price.
Well, that is stupid then. Why are they doing that?
So it's not like an author is going to try and sneak around the system and get cheap books to sell or something. I mean, I don't know, maybe if this ends up on the used book market or something like that, people will be like, hang on a second there, Sparky.
You know what it is? I almost guarantee you it's because of the people that are shipping the books. It's easier for them to determine what is a proof and what is not. Because if you have to, like Zach, if you had proof books and regular books out there and you had to open each page to see which one was a proof, it would take you 3 times as long to pack the books.
True, but granted, I have no idea how the KDP thing actually works.
I don't know either.
Copies are only shipped to the author, and you can order 5 total. That's it. So, I mean, it's not like you're going to have, 87 proof copies sitting on a shelf next to 152 non-proof copies. But whatever. Speaking of books, I'm playing a little game with the aftermarket sellers. You guys know that once a book goes into the used book column or the pre-owned book column or the whatever, that these, I don't know if they're pirates. They're kind of like pirates, like domain pirates, people that 20 years ago registered Coca-Cola.com, even though they weren't Coca-Cola, just so that they could sit on it and, sell it for a huge price. So what's happening now is I have a few books that are out of print, and one of them being the original Patriot Fireteam book, the black cover book. We call it the black cover one. And there's a company out there, a used bookseller, that's trying to sell it on Amazon for $855. right? Don't pay $855 for it. Just buy the PFT manual, and you'll get that book, and you basically get 2 books for the price of 1. So, and I've been accused on. Remember that.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, the bottom feeding, Cheeto eater that said that I was a thief because I was trying to get people to buy the $850 copy of my black book. Because apparently he wasn't smart enough to realize how out-of-print books work. So, but here's what I did. I went ahead and it said, do you have a question about this book? This $850 out-of-print copy? And I said, yes. I typed it. I said, I'm the author of this book. Can I expect to receive royalties for it?
Did they answer?
Yeah, actually, I got an automatron response that said, thank you for your inquiry. We will be reviewing it very soon, blah, blah, blah. Well, then yesterday I got one, and it says, hi, could you provide me with the ISBN and title of the book in question? Thanks a lot, Jay. And so this morning I went in and I cut and pasted and copied it, and I said, here you go.
That's funny.
And I'm waiting to see if they come back and say, no.
That's
no.
funny.
Yeah, so anyway, but I thought it was funny. But the Legion of Michael book is available right now. It's called Legion of Michael, Defending the Flock, a comprehensive manual for protecting houses of worship. It looks like this, only it doesn't say not for resale on it. All right. And it's available as a paperback and a Kindle version right now, immediately at this time. And also, my voice cracked a little bit. It must be going through puberty. And also, enrollment for the Legion of Michael training course, the distance learning course, the full course, is open right now at this moment in time.
Right now.
So, right now. So if you want to get in on that, go to legionofmichael.com, click the enroll now button, and enroll your butt immediately. So, and it's not going to be open forever. This is one of those things where I say it and you say, I'll get around to it. And 3 weeks later, you try and you write me and say, I tried and enrollment was closed. And that's when I say, I told you. I told you. When Paul says buy something, you can either buy it or you can complain that it's out of stock later.
True story.
Because that's how it be working. All right. But if you are a member of a church security team, or you're thinking about forming a church security team, or you're trying to convince your deacons and elders and pastor to form one, and they're like, we don't know, I don't know, how's that going to work? And they're like, well, how will it work? And what will you do? And what will you train? And who will be on it? And blah, blah, blah. Get this book. This is in and out, upside down, 30 years of professional security experience was put in this book. And this is a complete how-to. So you can go to your elders, deacons, pastor, and say, hey, what if I told you I had in a detailed, exact plan on how to establish and organize this team, do SOPs and training and all that? What if I told you that I had the plan, and all you have to say is go, and I'll implement the plan? And they were like, oh, well, you already have a plan, and well, good, do it. So there you go. That's what it is. All right, Zach, are you ready for our Warrior of the Week?
Totally.
Totally?
Totally.
I know I am. Hey, you know what? I'm getting close. I'm this close to being back to my pre-cancer press workout.
Oh, nice.
Yes. If you recall, remember we went to our Ohio trip in 2018, the summer, or well, it wasn't Ohio, it was everything. It was Ohio and Missouri and Michigan. But in 2018, when we did our Student of the Gun summer tour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember this.
The people at home can't see you nodding your head. It's radio. Say yes on the radio.
No.
when we were in Millersburg and we went and bought a day pass at the gym there and worked out and trained, it was a press day. And the reason I remember this was because it was a press day and it was a 125. I was programmed for 125. And I thought to myself, I can do more than that. And so I did my training, and then I put I think I put 155 on the bar, and I pushed it up over my head. And, no, it was 160. It was 160. Anyway, that was my press PR. But the workout weight was 3x5, 125, 3x5. Well, I'm back to there.
Nice.
Yeah. Now I've done heavier workouts when I was doing like 3x2s and 2x2s and stuff like that. I was doing 135, 140, stuff like that. But I'm getting close. I'm getting very close to being back to my pre-cancer workout. So
that's awesome. That's really good news.
SWAT Fuel and Barbell Logic and Graham and Protein.
And Protein.
Thank you, Protein. All right, we have an actual phone-in Warrior of the Week question. So, Jared, before Zach plays it, remind our Warrior of the Week what they need to do to claim the prize.
It's super easy. Just send an email to info@studentofthegun.com. Include your name, your mailing address, your phone number, and your email typed into the body. We will get that info over to SWAT Fuels so that you can get your free bottle of 9mm plus P.
Professor Paul, this is Quentin from Oklahoma. A couple weeks ago, you mentioned in your travel bag having OC spray, and I was curious if there was any lessons learned or do's or don'ts as far as ways of carrying it, ways of deployment in and out of a vehicle, or any legal liability issues. And as always, thanks.
All right, good question. OC spray is a compressed aerosol. It's a pressurized aerosol. So what does that mean to you? It means essentially that you need to treat the can like you would treat your body. If it's super hot and you're keeping your body cool, you need to keep the aerosol can cool. If it's super cold and you're keeping your body warm, you need to keep the aerosol can warm. A lot of folks will say, well, I want to make sure that I always have it, so I will keep it in my car. All right, that works up until we reach the extremes. Until we reach the extremes of heat. If you live in Arizona, where you park your car and it's 127 degrees inside because of greenhouse effect and all that, you're probably going to have a ruptured can and it's going to fill your car up, and
that'll be fun.
Be fun the next time you climb in. As far as freezing temperatures, as far as cold, there are two types of OC. There are OC that have water-based. They're water-based, and then there are alcohol-based. The reason they do alcohol-based is because alcohol has a higher freezing temperature or lower freezing temperature, depending on your thought process. So it will freeze. It will not freeze at colder temperatures. If you're in Minnesota or Wisconsin or northern Michigan and you leave in your car and it's -20 inside of your car, it's probably going to ruin it, rupture it. And it's not just the actual OC itself, but you have to think, what is inside of an aerosol can? There's aluminum, and then there's polymer, and then you might have rubberized gaskets or O-rings or whatever. And if those things get super heated and then cool again, or they freeze and then they warm up again, they freeze, warm up, eventually what will happen is you'll lose pressure. So my lesson, the lesson is, if you're going to treat your OC canister like you would treat your body, if it's super cold outside and you're trying to keep your body warm, then you need to be keeping your OC warm. If it's super hot and you're trying to keep yourself cool, keep the OC cool. Don't store it in the trunk of your car. Do not store it in. I mean, you can put it in the glove compartment all you want, but eventually you're going to pull that thing out, and it's either A, going to be ruptured, or B, have no pressure. That's what I'm telling you. Now, obviously, the ones that are made for law enforcement are a higher standard. They're a higher quality because they have to be. And the reason is, when I became a law enforcement pepper spray instructor many, many moons ago, they were collecting data, and we've collected data for decades now. And what the manufacturers have found, what they've discovered, is that fewer than 5% of all of the OC canisters that are sold to civilians are ever used. Less than 5%. It might be like 3 are ever used. However, with law enforcement, it floats around 50%. About 50% of all the OC canisters that are issued to police officers are actually used at some point in time on dogs or vicious animals or vicious humans or whatever. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you make a product that's inferior, police will figure it out. They'll figure it out pretty fast. They're like, hey, this crap that you bought doesn't work and it's going bad all the time, and I pulled it out and tried to use it and it didn't work. Buy something different, throw that away. So the quality control goes into the product that's made for law enforcement. It's as simple as that. The little plastic covered keychain models. See, here's what you guys don't realize, or you might not think about. Like when you go to Walmart or the gas station or the truck stop or whatever, and they have a little spindle rack with the keychain size OC, and it's inside of this plastic sleeve. Jared, you've seen these, right?
Yeah.
The modern incarnations of these things, and it's in a plastic sleeve. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they make a plastic sleeve, and then they take the half to maybe quarter ounce pressurized canister and stick it inside that sleeve. So even though it looks kind of big relatively, the amount of pressure and OC that's in that is minuscule. You're going to get like a couple of squirts, and then it's going to be done. That's pretty much it. That stuff's, I mean, you can buy it if you want. I mean, if you want to just hang it on your keys like a talisman, like a good luck charm, cool. But it's garbage, and your life is worth more than that. Now, as far as deploying it, you take the safety off or whatever, and you squirt it in their face, all over their face, not their chest, or not, their waistline or whatever. Just the head, nose, and mouth are your primary targets. Just give them a full coat, right? Top to bottom, left to right, whatever. If it's a fogger, that does it for you, so don't worry about it. Most pepper spray that's sold today is not a stream. The old mace, for some reason, they decided that you had to do it at a distance, so it was like a single squirt that went out about 8 to 10 feet, but you had to actually aim it. And generally, when buttheads are misbehaving, they don't just stand there and stare at you. They're kind of moving around, So you're playing this game where you're trying to catch them with the spray or whatever. No, very few of those exist anymore because, quite frankly, cops, they don't want them. They're like, that's stupid. We don't want that. Stop making that. So most of them are some type of fog, splatter stream, splatter spray kind of a deal that kind of goes out in their face. As far as liability, the truth of the matter is when you OC somebody who is misbehaving, you're doing them a favor, because that's about, other than like using your words and saying go away, that's about the lowest use of force you could use. And you're like, yeah, but it hurts like crazy. Yeah, it hurts like crazy, but you rinse your face off and you're good to go. There's no permanent scarring. There's no bruising. There's no anything else. I mean, unless you just like get sprayed and fall. But because the opposite of that is, well, I was going to pepper spray you, but you don't like that, so I'm going to hit you with a stick.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this stick and I'm going to hit you in the legs a bunch of times until you fornicate in a different direction. Taser is way higher on the use of force level than OC is. So, like I said before in a previous episode, if you live in an area where the commissar, your master, says that you're not allowed to own it, then they don't give a crap about you, and you need to move. And that's the end of that story. Because if your slave master at the Capitol or your slave master at City Hall says you're not allowed to own pepper spray, you're probably not allowed to have anything else either. So, but as far as, like I said, if you're in a situation where you roll up to an intersection and a bunch of a-holes come running off the curb and start smacking your car and screaming at you and won't get out of the way, don't open the door. Just roll the window down 6 inches and say, fornicate in a different direction there, dude, and give them the juice. If your car is surrounded and people are beating on it, you are in fear of jeopardy, of harm. So there you go. I mean, are you going to wait till they smash your windows out and bloody your face? I hope not. No. There you go. That is your OC spray in a nutshell. In a nutshell. All right, Jared, thank the contributors to the Student of the Gun public group.
If you are not in the Student of the Gun public group, go to Facebook or the Student Lounge, join the public group, and go forth and distribute knowledge and information. And these 10 people have done a good job of that over the last week. Number 10 is Janine Clark Wilson. 9 is Adam Montgomery. 8 is Derek Babcock. 7 is Andrew Ketz. 6 is Steve Pergantis. 5 is Jeremiah Mason. 4, Daniel Larson. 3, Andrew Reinert. 2 is Melissa Ridings. And number 1 is Trent Wood. Appreciate you guys taking the time and the effort to comment and post and actually add your commentary to that stuff as well.
Yes, very good, very good. And also, one thing you need to understand about pepper spray: if you've never sprayed anybody, you gotta learn to count to 3. All right. It's not like hitting somebody in the face with a 2x4, just like you don't spray them and then they spring backwards it takes them about 3 seconds to realize what has just happened to them. And the reason is because the carrier needs to evaporate and it allows the little tiny microparticles of oleoresin capsicum to get in and do their evil work. So you juice somebody and you count 1,001, 1,002, 1,000. That's usually how it goes, right, boys?
Yes.
You feel something hit your face and your instant response is, that's not all that bad. I mean, I'm not really Yep, right before you finish that sentence. Zach, would you say that's a fair assessment?
It was fairly instant for me, unless you're wearing sunglasses.
Well, I mean, you felt it hit your face, and you're like, oh, there's liquid on my face. Oh, what? I wonder when it's going to start. There it is. Yeah. That's exactly. It's pretty much how it goes.
It's like, oh, this isn't that bad. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, this isn't that. Or the great thing though is if they're yelling at you. If they're like,
that's even better. Yeah.
And I hate you, and I'm gonna pound your face into the ground. And if they're making a lot of noise and yelling, that means they're breathing heavy, right? Because I know a lot of you guys don't understand this, but in order for human beings to make noise, to speak and yell and scream, you're breathing, right? You're taking in and expelling oxygen because you need that. Human Anatomy 101 for most people who don't understand Human Anatomy 101. The great thing is when somebody's all amped up and they're screaming in your face and you spray it, what they end up doing is inhaling a bunch, and then it gets into their trachea, and the trachea is like, what are you doing? Then it becomes like the beginning of Sweet Leaf by Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
They go, but unfortunately, Tony Iommi doesn't start playing the guitar immediately afterwards.
Yeah, that's too bad. That would make it much more enjoyable.
Zachary.
Hello.
Should we thank people?
Yes, we should absolutely start thanking all the other 5 people. We always
Zach says, thank you, Century Arms, the sweetest metal arms maker in the U.S. of A. If you are not familiar with their products, go to centuryarms.com and familiarize yourself with their products. Guns, ammunition, parts, accessories, all that good stuff. All right. Duracoat, because life is too short
to have an ugly gun.
To have an ugly gun, that's right. That's right. It is too short to have an ugly gun. You don't want to have an ugly gun. I know I don't want to have an ugly gun. Go to Duracoat Firearm Finishes, and they have pretty much every color under the sun. And if you have not been to their website lately, you should go there, because what you're going to do when you get there is you're going to I didn't know they had that.
You just killed Zach's ears.
DuracoatFirearmFinishes.com. All right. Crossbreed holsters, because they want you to be what?
Dangerous on demand.
They absolutely want you to be dangerous on demand. And the way you're dangerous on demand is to actually carry your firearm on your body. I know you're like, what? You mean have it attached to me all the time? Yeah. So A, you know where it is. B, you're controlling it. And C, when you need it, it's right there. You don't get to call timeout. Say, hang on. I'll be right back. Stop killing people for a minute. I'll be right back. That's not how that works. They want you to be dangerous on demand. And the reason they do that, you know what I saw the other day, Jared, in person?
What?
I saw a holster from one of the companies that made their market, or they made their way by ripping off Crossbreed Super Tuck Deluxe. And it's that one that's convertible, you know? The one that they're like, you can convert it and modify it.
Quite a few of those.
I went to, I was at a gun shop in Rollins, Wyoming. I walked in and they had what's interesting is it was on the discount table. What does that tell you? And I looked at it and it looked like it was made in China. It looked like a toy. It was, I mean, just to pick it up, and I'm not going to say the name because I'm not that kind of guy, but I picked it up and I looked at it and I was like, wow, the inferiority, the quality of this is instantly obvious just picking it up. But the good news is you can take that pocket off there and replace it with a different one. They can do that. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So that was interesting. But if you want to go to crossbreedholsters.com and get a quality holster that will last, use the promo code SOTG18, and you're going to save yourself some money. So you're going to get a good product. You're going to get the original hybrid holster, not a ripoff, and you're going to save money. So it's kind of a win-win-win situation. Brownells. The sponsors of Brownells Bullet Points, which we're going to do on Wednesday. But today I'm going to tell you to just go to brownells.com, see what's on sale, see what's on special, see what kind of new products they have in stock, and sign up for their newsletter so that you never miss a sale ever again.
It looks like they've got pretty much, they've got a wide variety of the crossbreed holsters actually available on Brownells as well.
Yeah, Brownells did a thing several years ago where, what are they calling them? They're calling them like buy nows or
quick ship, probably.
Quick ship, yeah, quick ship. Because normally you go to crossbreedholsters.com and you choose the color of the Kydex, you choose the leather, whether it's horse or cow, you choose all different options, and then you send them your order, and they say, and right-handed, left-handed, all that jazz, and they make it for you and send it to you. But some people are impatient. They're like, I can't wait. I have to have it now. Okay, well, if you can't wait and you have to have it now, then they have basically the number one sellers. If you have a North American Arms 32 auto, a left-hand configuration, you're not getting a quick ship holster. Sorry, but you're like, I want one for my Jennings 22. Do they have one for that? No. Nice try. Nice try. All right, Zach, this is time for the audience to be quiet, open up both their ears, and listen a little bit louder.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a complimentary online training course called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. Get instant access by joining the Student Lounge for free at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of these questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Yes, we have a website. And there's so much information on that website. It's almost unbelievable. Between the videos, the training videos, the articles, the links to the radio, the audio programs, there's just a tremendous amount of information. It is the largest free, no-cost firearms training university on planet Earth. Studentofthegun.com is. You can argue with me, but you would be wrong, because quite frankly, there is. I don't think, Jared, would you go ahead and check me if I'm wrong? But if you go to studentofthegun.com, between the 1,000+ episodes of radio, between all the television episodes, between all of the articles, the free classes and so forth, I would say that when it comes to firearms training and liberty training, that we probably have the largest, one of the largest, if not the largest, free firearms training universities that's going right now. And
I was just going to say that's probably pretty close. The only person that I could think that would come close to us is Jaeger, because I know he's done a bunch of videos. But
his YouTube channel.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got his Liberty TV costs money, so that's not free. But yeah,
I don't think that's on the tactical responses primarily is training side, is how to sign up for training. But yeah, his YouTube channel definitely. But as far as articles go, though, we have over 100 articles probably that are available for reading on the site.
Yep.
If there's a topic, the reason I bring that up is recently I was on the telephone with a casting agent, and it was interesting because there was a mutual introduction through friends, and it doesn't matter how I got on the phone with this casting agent, but I asked her, she was a casting director for this company. I said, how much do you know about me? Well, not a lot. And I said, okay, well, let me give you my speech. And I said, I host and produce a show called Student of the Gun, and we have a radio show, and we have a television show, and yada yada, right? And so she comes back, and she goes, and you could tell she was sitting there on her laptop. And she goes, "Oh, you have a website? That's nice." Remember when one of our friends introduced our other friend who has a doctorate?
Yeah.
Owns like 7 and maybe not 7, but he owns several companies and he has a doctorate, and our friend introduced him to someone else and he's like, yeah, this is my friend and he has a YouTube channel. Yeah, I also have a doctorate and I own 3 contract companies and
that's funny.
I have a net worth of $10 million, but I have a YouTube channel too. And you're like, oh, you have a YouTube channel? Oh. How do you get one of those? Can I get one too? We're going to be talking about the casting. The reason I told you guys that was a little tiny teaser, because I'm going to give you an article and maybe an accompanying video that talks about that in greater detail and what that was all about and why I was on the phone with that person.
You should talk to him about. You should talk to the grad program about it on one of the episodes this week.
Yeah, well, that's coming up. That's actually, we're going to release that article on Tuesday, which is June 30th. So if you're listening to this on June 29th, you're like, oh, it's only one day. I should pay attention. American liberty is not a game. You said, yes, Paul, I already know this. You say, but do you? And the reason that I felt obliged,
the NSA got him. He said the words "American liberty is not a game," and then NSA said, "Nope, you're not streaming anymore." There you go. You're back. So the reason that you felt obliged to write this article is
because this subject has come up again. Recently, someone said, well, we in the gun community, we're no better than the leftist cancel culture. We're no better than the people that are trying to boycott Chick-fil-A. We're no better than the people that are tearing down statues. We're no better than them because we do the same thing. Because look at what we did to Jim Zombo, and look at what we did to Dick Metcalf and Jerry Sy. And I was like, hold on a second. Let's look at what we did. First of all, we didn't do anything. they all did it to themselves. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're just a recent convert to the gun world, there have been a few guys who are essentially, they're media personalities. Well, Zombo and Metcalf were media personalities and writers. Zombo's a big time, was a big time hunter. Remington sponsored his show and so forth. Then you had Dick Metcalf, who had a show on Guns and Ammo TV, and he wrote for Guns and Ammo magazine. He wrote a monthly column for Guns and Ammo magazine. And a dude named Jerry Sy, who you probably don't know because he was just an editor for Rico Magazine. He wasn't a television personality or anything like that. But all three of them essentially committed kind of the same sin, and they did it over a period of years. So you would have thought that they would have taken the example from the previous guy and thought, I wonder why that happened. Well, Jim Zombo was famous for writing a blog article and sending it out calling AR-15s terrorist rifles. Well, he lumped the AK in there too, but he was just aghast that American sportsmen would take a terrorist rifle out into the field and use it to shoot at game. He was disgusted by that. And he even went so far as to endorse state game authorities putting bans on the use of the Armalite rifle Model 15 and the various different designs. He said that state officials needed to pass rules and regulations prohibiting them from being used in the hunting field. And this is when you say, dude, what? Either half my audience is going, yep, I remember that, and the other half of my audience is going, no way a gun person went public and said that AR-15s are terrorist rifles and that they need to be banned from all hunting. There's no way that happened. Look it up. Yes, it did. Okay? And so, and you might say, well, how did and there's actually a Washington Post article. See, this is what happens in our little tiny gun clique. We talk to each other all the time. You know, we talk back and forth to each other in the shooting sports community or the gun community or whatever. But most of the world doesn't pay attention to us. Most of the outside world is not paying attention. The New York Times, New York Post, Washington Times, Post, they're not paying attention to us until one of our people says something that they agree with. And essentially, if one of our people says that a gun is bad or some kind of guns are bad or some gun laws are good or whatever, then all of a sudden the mainstream media perks up and they're like, oh, did you hear what this gun guy said? This gun guy, he's with us. He said, we've been trying to tell you guys that assault weapons are bad and they need to be banned and whatever. And look right here. One of their own people just wrote an article and he's just said what we said. So why can't those stupid gun-owning morons, those paranoid lunatics that think that they should be allowed to own rifles, why can't they just listen to this reasonable person? He's in their club. They should listen to him, right? So, the Washington Post article says, terrorist remark puts outdoorsman's career in jeopardy after criticizing assault rifles, thanks to response from U.S. gun culture, right? So, like, those mean, evil people in the gun culture said mean, evil stuff about Jim Zombo. All right, then Metcalf came along, and Metcalf wrote a column in Guns and Ammo where he essentially told American gun owners that they needed to get over our problem with infringements, right? Despite the fact that Amendment 2 says, shall not be
infringed.
What? Infringed. So apparently he didn't read that part before he wrote this column. So he writes a column saying that American gun people and gun owners need to get over this problem with infringements because, according to him, every amendment is infringed and no amendment or right is absolute. And then he went on to use the tired, old, stupid, retarded, ridiculous, moronic, well, it's against the law to yell fire in a crowded movie theater, and so that just proves that the First Amendment is not absolute. Okay, Metcalf's not the first person to say that, and he won't be the last, but every time it's said, it's moronic. It's retarded. It's TikTok, whatever you want to say. If the movie theater's on fire and you yell and stand up and scream, there's a fire, get out, you know what? That is free speech, and you are allowed to do that. The only time you wouldn't is if you were deliberately inducing panic. But the attempt to deliberately induce panic is a crime, okay? So saying, oh, well, you see, First Amendment, can't yell fire. You know who says stuff like that? People like Joe Biden say stuff like that. When you're Dick Metcalf and you're saying the same things as somebody like Joe Biden or who's that moron from New York with the glasses on the end of his nose, thinks he's the king, Schumer. You know, when you're echoing stuff like Schumer and Biden would say, and guess what happened when Metcalf put that article out? Guess who heard about it and started and used it to buttress their gun control arguments? The left. That's right. As a matter of fact, they actually went there. I think it was Feinstein, if my memory serves, actually said, look at this. Even one of their people knows that it's good to infringe the Second Amendment. Even one of their people knows that there are reasonable gun laws. And then the last example I'm going to give you guys is this guy named Jerry Sy. And he said one of these things that just proves that you don't get it. And he said in Rico Magazine, right? Rico Magazine, your quintessential American gun porn. He said, quote, what to get the quote right?
Like we mentioned before, the MP7A1 is unavailable to civilians, and for good reason. We all know that's technology no civvies should ever get to lay their hands on. This is a purpose-built weapon with no sporting applications to speak of.
Thank you very much, Jared. Yeah, so here we go. So Jerry Sy, the guy who's the editor of Rico Magazine, at the time, the number one...
Not anymore.
Not anymore. The number one gun porn magazine in America says, well, this is a super cool gun and gee whiz and cool and neat. But you stupid peasants are not allowed to even look at this gun. As a matter of fact, we catch you looking at it, we're going to fine you. All right. Unless you're like in your basement with the lights dimmed, sitting in a beanbag chair with a bottle of Jergens and a Rico magazine, then it's okay. But other than that, you're not allowed, because mere civilians should not be allowed to have that because it doesn't have any sporting application. Apparently, like some people, others, Jerry Sy never read the Constitution or the Bill of Rights because the words sporting application or legitimate sporting use are not found anywhere in those documents. But he drank the Kool-Aid and he endorsed, essentially, he issued an endorsement that, yeah, you know, if a gun doesn't have, quote, legitimate sporting purpose, you're not allowed to own it. This is when we all scratch our heads and say, so you mean in 1777, 1781, 1792, the founding fathers were like, well, if the peasants want to go hunting, then that's okay. But no peasant should be allowed to have a gun that they could use for fighting, except that's exactly what we just did. What happened on April 19th, 1775? Who were those people that were fighting?
It was the government. It was the elite special ranger forces.
Yeah, right? No, it wasn't. Okay. All the people who claim to love America, they're like, shot heard around the world, and that's how we started the revolution. We got to have America. Woo, America! We got to have America. Who in the world fired the shot heard around the world to start the ball rolling towards the United States of America? It wasn't the police department. It wasn't government troops. It was citizens. And, Jerry sighs, it was civvies. Yeah, Jerry, it was civvies using weapons of war, using fighting guns that actually fought back against tyranny. And there was no legitimate sporting purpose. And we're going to talk later on this week about the idea that citizens should not be allowed to own cannon, even though citizens actually did. Yeah, I shouldn't have to give you guys high school civics, but why are all these guys wrong? Zombo the hunter, Metcalf the handgun editor and TV host, Jerry Sy the editor for a magazine, why are they all wrong? Because every single one of them looked at a gun, a firearm, and said, that's something I use to participate in a recreational activity, whether it's hunting or sport shooting or competition or plinking or whatever. Not one of those people looked at the firearm and said, that is an instrument of liberty first and foremost. And because we have liberty, we get to hunt. Because we have liberty, we get to go to shooting competitions. Because we have liberty, we can engage in recreational activities that involve the use of firearms. But ladies and gentlemen, liberty is not a game. American liberty is not a game, and that is why all these guys failed. They failed the liberty test. So anytime someone says to you, oh, well, you don't need that because you can't hunt with it, or you don't need that because it's not a sporting competition, whatever, say, that's nice and all, but here's the deal. American liberty is not a game, and neither is a dog barking in the background. So, ladies and gentlemen, take that coin, put it in your pocket. The next time someone tells you you shouldn't be allowed to have that, or this restriction's okay, or this law is reasonable because, or you don't need more than 3 rounds to hunt a deer, says people who've never hunted a deer once in their life. I love how people who sit in huge million-man cities and never set foot in the field tell us what we need for hunting and what we don't. Really? Okay. All right, guys, we're going to be back on Wednesday, I promise you. And we're going to talk about, well, our good friend Joe Biden says that no amendment is absolute. And he buttresses this. We've got audio of him. We're going to talk about scopes for rifles because we have a question about those. And we've got a story about armed police. Armed police. Armed police. Yes, they're losing their minds in the UK again, and we're going to talk about it because it's always fun. Until then, remember, you're a beginner once.
You're a student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.